One of the biggest mysteries about the MH370 video is not what happened to the plane, which is interesting, but how did they film the video? A lot of people assume that it was filmed from a drone or a satellite. It was filmed using WAMI. Hey, good morning, people. I woke up this morning with a super enthusiastic Ashton Forbes. Here he is at his best.
This image was taken 17,500 feet above Quantico, Virginia, and covers 15 square miles.
This whole image is at a very, very fine resolution. So if we wanted to know what is going on in any spot along this image, say near this building at this intersection, we can generate a moving image that shows what's going on in the area.
Simply by touching
This is what they're using. This is what Edward Sealand was using, is some software similar to what you just saw there. You have a wide field of view. You can make a smaller window, and then his mouse goes off the window. Wow. Wow. Hold on. Holy shit. Wait. He was screen recording the window. Oh my God. Hold on. Hold on. Do we have proof? Hold on. So he pulls up the window.
Generate a moving image.
Wow. 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 Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Where's the video? He's screen recording a window right here. What if he set his screen recording to the window? Guys, wait for it. I'm going to scroll back. Watch this. Watch this. So look at the cursor, right? Watch the cursor here. Cursor's in the bottom left. Now the cursor is going to the top right. It goes off the screen. It presses the stop screen recording button. The screen goes black.
Excellent, Ashton. Such focused enthusiasm. Even if you don't fully buy into Ashton's MH370 ideas, you have to buy into him. Ashton and I are both citizen scientists. We are asking the difficult questions that the media, big science, and a lot of viewers don't know about, and we want to bring those stories to you. And today there's a great convergence of interest. Ashton and I are both very interested in WAMI. Yeah, WAMI. Yes, wide area motion imagery. It tracks us all. We think we're free citizens, but wearing a watch, thank you, Apple, it's the same as having a tag on your ankle. Everything we do, think, say, and where we've been has been tracked. In exchange for telling your partner that you're going to be late home for supper, what you think, where you went, everything is available to your government, and they use WAMI. And that surveillance has been going on for a long time. I have a great friend here in France who works for a large international phone telecommunication company that I won't say its name, but he openly told me that mobile phone companies earn more than half of their profit, not by charging you for services on your cellular thingy, no, but for tracking you and selling that data to your government. That's the real profit for a phone company. But it keeps getting better and better. Here's a short clip highlighting some of the capabilities of WAMI. This is a promotional video describing wide area motion imagery, or WAMI. In real time, you can add context to surveillance. Wide view with focused areas of interest. Everything is being individually tracked. Daytime or nighttime surveillance capabilities with dual mode electro-optical and mid-wave microwave. Watch boxes and tripwires. ring fencing places of interest, tipping and queuing. This is our modern world. Back when I was a lad, we all thought about satellites looking down and following us, being able to read a newspaper or count rivets on an airplane. You all know my story. When I was working on a PBS, public broadcasting film about Hubble, we had original footage of grinding the mirror, and there at the facility were 12 other Hubbles. And I said, please sir, why is there 12? And we were told, don't use that shot, because the other 11 were part of a large satellite network looking down on Earth. Only Hubble looked up. It was the same system. But today, we don't use satellites so much optically. We use high altitude surveillance. Originally with drones, but even long loitering drones only stay in the air for a couple of days, maybe a week if they're super amazing. But there's places in the world that you, if you run the CIA, want to monitor all the time. A big city like Washington, D.C., or Paris, or a conflict zone such as the Middle East or used to be Afghanistan. Wherever. You want something there all the time. So how do you do that? Well, you have a long loitering aerostat or aerogel loitering device over your city. What are they? Well, they're buoyant devices. They're lighter than air devices. And we all think of balloons. They're not balloons. They're the complete opposite of a balloon. They're a lead balloon. They're a vacuum balloon. How does that work? Question, folks, what's lighter than air? Well, of course, hydrogen and helium. But what's lighter than hydrogen and helium? No air. A vacuum. Yeah, but that doesn't work. Back in the 17th century, somebody tried a lead balloon, a metal container with a vacuum inside, because they knew it would be buoyant. But you had to contain the vacuum in a steel shell to stop air pressure from crushing it flat like a pancake. Is there a better way? Oh, yes, there is. Back in the 1920s, somebody invented Aerogel. But you've seen Aerogel. It looks like this. It's a squishy, light blue, nearly transparent, foamy stuff that you could crush with your hand. Well, not all of it. Some of it is aeroloi. That's metal that can be foamed, and that foam can have a vacuum in the little cellular structure. Imagine a piece of expanded polystyrene, and you cut it in half, and there inside there's little holes, but those little holes aren't filled with a gas, they're filled with nothing. Suddenly that block of polystyrene or metal foam will rise. The amount of buoyancy, what is buoyancy? Buoyancy is actually something being held up by the high pressure of air squished below it and the lower pressure above it. It will rise and find a buoyant level. If you can contain a vacuum in a foam, aerogel, aeroloi, it will rise up and find its height dependent on its buoyancy. These are large craft. Maybe tic-tac shaped and 40 foot long, or maybe segmented like this one. These type of aeroloi vacuum craft are exactly what the security services need to long loiter above your city. They're big, they're strong, they're buoyant, they're above flight levels, and they point to the sun, so you can have little thrusters. They probably operate in a 1 kilometer range, so they're buoyant to a height. When they slightly get blown by the wind, little thrusters will come on and keep them into a 1 kilometer circle all over your city. And on them, you can fit SAR, synthetic aperture radar, and it can accurately measure height. One of the most interesting things you can do with synthetic aperture radar is look at airplanes parked at a military airfield, and you can tell the height of the wing above the tarmac. When it's fully fueled, it's going to be slightly lower. When it's full of bombs, it's going to be even lower. So you can tell its normal height and its laden height, so you know they're prepared for a mission. Another strange thing says me taking my trousers off. Really. If you had a belt, if you were in the military, a piece of your uniform that is made of a known mass. If your military belt buckle is a known atomic mass, synthetic aperture radar can find it. SAR systems can apparently look at a battlefield and they're bing, 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 bing. Everybody with an American belt buckle on it. It can track a specific object. You can also use that to check for economic security. If you're in a government department and want to know how many electric cars are being built in China, is there a component of the electric car, the battery, that you know its weight? If you know its exact weight, its molecular weight, you can dial that into SAR and see how many are being produced. Supposedly that's already been done. While General Motors are making hundreds of electric car batteries, in China there are thousands already waiting to flood the Western market. And you know that because you know the mass of the material in the battery, and SAR radar can tell you. And as I get even more undressed, I better not stand up with my trousers, a ring can be traced. The story goes that Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran was given a gift of a ring, but a very specific molecular weight ring. And so wherever he is wearing the ring, he can supposedly be tracked. I don't know if that's true, but it's a really good story and it's an application. The same person who told me that told me another inside secret of SAR, and that is it uses a lot of energy. When the data centers run by Hewlett-Packard or whoever run their cooling fans to fire up the SAR processing, your enemy knows that you're onto them. So today there's a lot of research to put data centers under the water. Here's a Microsoft model. Or they put them underground. In Britain, there's a secret government facility quite near Bath where a French company called Airbus runs Skynet. Why did they call it Skynet? It's an SAR European system, but the data farm is under the ground in old caverns with a river. The data center is cooled by water and underground to mask when it's switched on. So suddenly the truth about being tracked, or this wide area motion imagery or WAMI system, suddenly makes a lot more sense of the MH370 videos. Using a WAMI type system that covers the whole planet is probably how MH370 videos were originally filmed. And what do these aerogel drones that hover over your city actually look like? You've seen one, and so have I. In this famous, unidentified flying object. Keep asking questions. The truth is out there.